So, hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of In Conversation With. My name is John Lunn, aka Jonnychipz, and in this video series, we talk all things cloud with experts and advocates from right across the industry, covering a wide range of topics, right from skills and careers through to technical overviews and soft skills. So, whether you are watching this on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, or LinkedIn, thanks so much for tuning in. It really does mean a lot. Please do take part in the chat below. Drop us a comment, a like, and a subscribe would go a long way, and it's appreciated. Okay, so my next guest this week is a senior developer advocate. He's an Azure MVP, a blogger, an event organizer, and a huge community contributor with a love of serverless tech. So I'm super happy to welcome my next guest on In Conversation With as Mr. Marc Duiker. How are you going, Marc?
Nice hey, John. See you. Yes, thanks for having me. That was quite an intro you gave me. I like it. Thanks.
Good. I'm glad you like it. Well, it's well-deserved, Marc. I think we were just speaking off camera there before we kind of hit the record button. I've been following you for a couple of years now, and some of the stuff that you're up to, I mean, really excited to kind of have a chat to you around some of the bits and pieces. It's been fantastic. But firstly, thank you so much for giving up some time and coming and say hello to me.
Definitely.
For the sake of our audience, I don't know if you will kick things off, give yourself a little bit more of an in-depth intro and let us know a little bit about your career in tech. That'd be cool.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so my career in tech, it has been going on for quite a while, but I didn't start off with any computer science education or anything. I actually studied chemistry, and my first job was working at a chemistry startup in Amsterdam. So I was wearing a safety glasses and a lab coat and doing experiments. So that had nothing to do with IT. But yeah, after a couple of years working there, they had some challenges there, and the challenges were more related to IT than challenges related to chemistry, or at least I found the challenges in IT more interesting because they were doing lots of experiments on a very small scale, but in parallel. So they were generating lots and lots of data, and they had some trouble visualizing data and reporting this data. So we were talking about like over 20 years ago now. So usually the researchers were creating Word documents and pasting Excel charts in there, but we were generating like thousands and thousands of charts, right? So it's a bit hard to manually copy paste all these things in Word documents. So that's the time that I rolled into the IT there. Started to automate certain things in Excel, for instance. So writing some VBA scripts, making inventory management applications in Access, and also doing a bit of web development to visualize all these charts in web reports, and then burning those reports to CD-ROMs and handing that to clients instead of paper reports. So that was a fun time.
Absolutely. I mean, that sounds pretty cool. It's like, I like the fact that you didn't start off with that vision of tech in mind. You come from a separate industry. It's pretty cool, isn't it, that people tend to work, I guess, as I don't know, school, college, whatever you do, and you're like, what do I need to make my choice now? But I mean, clearly you picked quite a prestigious path there with chemistry and working in that kind of environment. So, I mean, how was that transition then from doing something and being focused on another technical area to make that switch into kind of the land of IT?
Yes, well, because I stayed in that company there, it felt like quite a natural change because there was a problem there in the role that I had, and I thought, okay, I can probably fix this. So I like to explore new things, so I tried my best to fix it, and it worked quite well. And also the company there was quite supportive in allowing me to go on trainings and get certifications and stuff like that. So they were really, really helpful, although I didn't really moved into software development completely only after a couple of years. So it was quite a long time that I had this hybrid role of doing lab work, but also doing some software development work. So although the transition felt quite natural, it also took really quite some years before at least they considered me as, okay, yes, you are a software developer now and not someone from the lab who also does software development.
Yeah, that transition that you'd finally arrived, that you were recognized more for being in that world than the world that you come from, or I'm with you. Yeah. So, I mean, look, I mean, that's a really cool start into tech and, kind of builds up the picture of where you started to develop these skills. And so how did you arrive, to the cloud today? What was that block of time like? What was that path?
Yes. So So right after that chemistry startup, so I stayed there for 9 years, which was quite a significant time.
Yeah.
But although various roles I had there, then I really felt okay. I want to focus on software development, and I want to see more of the world of software development. So then I joined a software development and consulting company here in the Netherlands. And that allowed me to go to different clients every couple of months and help with their implementations there. And there I was completely focused on .NET on the first couple of years. So I really enjoyed that developing at the client and seeing all kinds of different organizations and working with different people. So that allowed me to learn a lot, and that also allowed me to see what exactly I like in the software development world.
Yeah, of course.
So at first it was more like .NET backend services I was focused on, but a few years later I got quite interested in more like web development and also web content management systems. So then I joined a digital agency which did a lot of different web content management system implementations. For instance, I worked with Sitecore. It's quite a well-known content management system. I was even a Sitecore MVP for a couple of years. Also did quite some community work around that. For instance, I set up the Dutch user group for Sitecore. So that was also a fun time. So I think that was really when I start focusing on also the developer community, and also so I had a lot of potential there, and I could help share knowledge. That was the time that was really discovering that I really liked that part.
I mean, it sounds like, one of those things, isn't it? That, I mean, clearly you're a guy, from my experience looking at you across the socials, that, loves community, loves to get involved, loves helping people, giving back. And it just describes like, you had the opportunity to work with multiple different clients, working, I'm guessing, on different applications, different ways, and exploring the .NET framework, I guess, to as much of the extent that you've got. And then you started bringing that back into the community with your role. And my camera's just frozen, so you'll have to bear with us. It's all right, we can keep going. But tell us a bit while I fix my camera about that dev advocacy role. When you started from Sitecore being an MVP, how did that kind of work out for you?
Yes, well, that's definitely a side which I enjoyed a lot. So because I think I always had that I like to share some knowledge, and then being then a Sitecore MVP and let's say being recognized by some major player in the technology field, that also opens some doors for you, right? So you get invited for talks and extend your network a bit, and you get to know more people. So I really felt like a welcome member in that community, so that was also nice. I also felt quite privileged that I was asked to do that and be part of it, and also be able to share my knowledge there. So
I guess that was the start of community for you, though. So as soon as you started being able to share that back, you were really getting. I mean, what did it mean for you at the time? Can you explain what that process was? Because I know in the short time I've got involved, it's like you focus on tech and learning for yourself and doing stuff, but now you're giving back. What did that, feel like for you, and what was the kind of motivation to do that?
It really gives me a good feeling when I put some content out there, and then many years ago I did that mainly through blogging. So I started to write some blog posts first, and sometimes very short snippets. But you then get quite quick feedback from the community from, oh yes, this was so helpful, the stuff that you wrote, or the little library that you created. Or I also created some PowerShell scripts to quickly do some scaffolding for Sitecore projects. So receiving that feedback from the community, and being so engaged with them, that made me feel so good. And that keeps you then on engaging more and driving more into the developer community. So it really,
absolutely,
really goes forward and forward then.
Because you're out there now at the moment. I mean, what kind of projects are you working on at the moment then, in your role or outside as part of the community? Are you up to anything? I know there's one or two things. I don't know whether we want to jump in and talk about those now.
Sure. Yeah, let's go ahead. Yeah. So there are a lot of things. So
Yeah,
what
I'll let you break them down because I know you're involved in quite a lot, Mark. So, but it's cool to see, and you've helped me on no end of occasions just to learn things. So
Yeah,
thank you for
exactly.
that. So yeah, go for it, Mark. Let us know what you're up to.
So one of the things that started a couple of years ago was Serverless Days. So I attended, or I spoke at one of these Serverless Days in Amsterdam. And Serverless Days is an organization that's has local chapters all over the world, and we always try to promote the use of serverless. It's completely cloud agnostic, so no matter which side you're on, technology wise, and we arrange meetups and conferences and stuff like that. So once I given a talk there, and then I really liked that Serverless Days Amsterdam community a lot. Super kind people. And so then I asked, okay, yeah, can I join you, because I would love to be involved with this. So at that moment, I became co-organizer of Serverless Days Amsterdam, and we had some very nice experiences and doing all kinds of meetups. Then still in real life. Then that was the time that the pandemic hit, so we had some problems to do a real life conference, but that has to be changed to a online conference. So then I did a lot of technology research. Okay, how can we make this online? And I started to use OBS, and how can I live stream through that? And how can we use Skype to get all the people together, and share all these streaming sources and stuff like that. So that was also again a huge learning opportunity, which I would otherwise not have had. So that was definitely a lot of fun to be more involved with that. It's also a bit troublesome at times regarding the tech, so I'm quite happy that.
So how are you running that at the minute then, Mark? The Serverless Days, is that a hybrid type thing that you're doing now, or have you managed to get back to in person?
Well, yeah, we're about to change now. So we were thinking of doing the next one in April, hybrid, but it's going to be 1 month later now, because we cannot probably make it to the venue in April. So probably from May we'll do a hybrid one. So we'll have a small group physically present, but then we'll also do the live streaming part. Yeah.
No, that's cool. Yeah, no, absolutely. It seems to be the thing now. I think everybody's busting, waiting for in-person events to get back so we can go and actually say hello in person. We've not really been able to do for a while now, have we? So, no, cool. So yeah, that's going well, like you say. And so at the moment it's going to be online next month, and I'll put the links to Serverless Days down in the video. So if anybody watching wants to go sign up, RSVP, and join in, I'm assuming it's open to all, Mark. Yeah,
definitely, yes, yes.
Yeah. So, well, we'll look at that. So that's in April. What else you got going on? I know you're doing some cool thing in helping people learn about some of the core serverless bits and pieces.
Exactly. Yes. So that's definitely my biggest project for the last, I think, 2 years. So that's Azure Functions University. So that's an open source and free curriculum available online on GitHub and YouTube to learn all about Azure Functions. And I really like working on that. It's also taking up a lot of my time, but luckily I'm not alone in there, so I'm getting lots of help from other people who prepare content with me. So maybe we can share some of it, right?
Yeah, talk us through. Let us know what it's about then and how we can find it, Mark.
Yeah, exactly. So this is the repo on GitHub. So Azure Functions University it's called, and I have to fix some security vulnerabilities very soon. So thanks GitHub for that. So this is an amazing group of contributors who help me prepare these lessons and also co-host lessons with me. But we have, scroll down to the lessons here. So it started out with doing just .NET Core lessons because I come from a .NET development background. So I started with .NET development lessons first. But then soon I got some other requests of people that, okay, maybe we can also do this lesson in TypeScript and in PowerShell and in Python. So this grew and grew and grew. But as you can see, there are still some empty spots here and there. So I can definitely use some help here and there to create some lessons in different languages. On the left here, the topics. So I started with, let's say, the basic type of triggers is the HTTP trigger, and then go to blob and queue triggers and table bindings and deployments. But again, I also want to extend the topics as well. So at the moment, the lessons are, let's say, more a beginner level, but I also want to make a bit more advanced level topics. So this is still very much a work in progress, and I hope it will remain so for the next couple of years. But it
is pretty cool. I think from a perspective of somebody like myself, and this is one of the cool things about speaking, with you, Mark, today, is that my view of how cloud technology has enabled everybody to kind of really take their careers through a completely different, kind of in a completely different direction. One thing I felt is that my role is primarily operationals focus, kind of, service support, scalability, all of that kind of SRE type stuff. Clearly now, when there's sort of cloud technologies involved, there's a certain amount of software development background is probably going to be of significant importance for you to at least have an awareness of, if not some experience with using. And that certainly enabled me as an individual to start to kind of rekindle, as an IT person, I suppose you dabbled in lots of different areas, and I dabbled once in dev. It was like, it was a dangerous time, I think, for the company I was working for, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. Like you said earlier, it's really enjoyable, really satisfying to actually do something and see something happen, for real. This kind of site, and certainly functions. I mean, talk to us a little bit about the serverless technologies, Marc. How do you see that kind of work for the mass market, if you like, of people in tech, not necessarily just the seasoned developer? Do you see it like that?
Because I think there's lots of opportunities for serverless technology, and to a certain extent, I think it might even be easier for new developers to start using straight away than for maybe a bit seasoned developers, because seasoned developers have this background of the servers being always available and servers being very, very big and having lots of RAM and using big SQL databases and stuff. But when you start thinking in more like service architectures and more event-driven architectures, then you have some different requirements to think about. So you can't really, let's say, take an old architecture and lift and shift that into serverless. You really have to re-architect and rethink your system a bit. So that's why I think maybe for people new in IT, for the young generation of developers, it's probably easier to get used to than for seasoned developers.
It's been one of those things that's always kind of been there, in that conversation, because I spoke with somebody before about graduates coming out of university into the industry, and it's almost like the breadth of knowledge that a graduate need to have in across the board to be able to develop and build a solution. All of a sudden, it's not just about writing code. You have to be able to potentially spin up your own infrastructure. And that would imply that as a developer, you need to have certain infrastructure skills potentially that you might not. And, certainly from an infrastructure person, all of a sudden now they need, it's those blurring of lines, isn't it?
Yes, definitely. Yeah. Yeah, true. Yeah, well, what I especially like about Service and Azure Functions is if you want, you can just run it completely locally without involving any cloud. So at least you can start to learn at a very basic and easy level. So you don't need the cloud interaction from day one. But once you're ready for it, then you can deploy to the cloud, and you can also interact with other services in the cloud. But just to get started, it's nice if you can still do stuff completely locally and independent of the cloud. So that's
absolutely. And in a small way, that I followed a few of the lessons that you put up there, to be honest, Marc, not long ago. And I've dabbled around, as you do, trying to explore the cool features and functionality of Azure and get down and dirty with it. But I mean, it's such a scalable, and it's scalable in many senses of the word. Scalable in terms of what you can do from a development perspective, the languages that you can use, the modes of deployment, whether it be cloud native, whether it be like a containerized application in the cloud, or whether it be on your on-prem equipment as well. There's so many places, different modes of ability. You've got, from what I've seen, you go from this low-code, no-code type serverless that you can almost point and click.
The
right the way
apps.
through,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, indeed. Yeah. There are so many available services in any cloud these days that also makes it harder to pick and choose the right one for you. So that's definitely a challenge, because every year these services are increasing, not only in number of services, but also, let's say, in complexity of each service. Because when we just look at Azure Functions, that also now has some additional tiers. Like we have the premium tier now, which wasn't available a couple of years ago. So the whole cloud ecosystem is definitely getting more and more complex every year. So that is definitely tricky. But that's regardless if you're completely new to IT or if you're already there in IT. That's will remain a difficult thing to keep up.
I suppose it's keeping that spark, that enthusiasm, the ability to do, mind-blowing amount of things in any language with cloud services. Cloud is that fabric now that we can kind of just consume, I guess. And there's lots we could do. Look, Marc. There's one thing that we got to talk about. I saw one of your little PixelArt logos, those images there as you scrolled up.
This one,
for the university. I spotted this for a while now, and you've done some brilliant things. What is it about PixelArt, Marc? How did you get involved in that? Because it's such a cool thing to do.
Yes. So that's really a couple of years ago, and some things came together. So I think I was reading a magazine. I think it was the Magpie magazine, and that was talking about a fantasy console called Pico 8. I'm not sure if you heard about it, but it's a program, and you can run it and develop retro games in it. By programming in Lua. Again, something for the show notes to put a link into it. So I thought, that's pretty interesting, but I didn't got into it yet when I was reading the magazine. But then almost at the same time, there was a podcast from Scott Hanselman where he invited the creator of Pico 8 to talk about it. So then again, I immediately thought, but I was just reading about this. So I thought, okay, I really have to do something with this. So I bought Pico 8. It's like $14 or $15 or something to buy, but that's really highly recommended. So you get this very weird developer interface, because the interface itself is also retro. So you have this really small 120 by 128 pixel developer environment, and there you can draw your sprites and you can make your music and develop your game. So that's how I got into, let's say, the retro game and also the pixel art stuff. So I developed a game for Azure Functions. So you actually can play this character, and you have to collect some items in some kind of data center to restore the energy of the data center. So that was a super fun thing. But it also, I wanted to get some results very quickly, and developing a game. I was very new to that, especially also programming in Lua. So I thought I want to do this more, but it was quicker to focus on the drawing part first. And by the time it was like MS Build 2020, and then I thought maybe it's nice if I do something to show my support for everyone that's hosting Microsoft Build 2020. So then I start drawing the hosts as PixelArt avatars using Pico 8 initially. And that got a lot of traction on Twitter, and then I got a lot of requests on, can you also draw my avatar in PixelArt style as well? So I start doing that, and that just kept increasing and increasing.
So you've got an entire community of pixel art. I'm assuming now, Marc, hidden away somewhere on your computer.
I have drawn like hundreds of these avatars. It's that was a lot of fun.
But I know we briefly mentioned it off camera before we started, but I look at your Azure Functions logo. I mean, has he got a name? Has he got a name, or is it?
Well, I think someone of the Azure Functions team called this Zeppy. So because they made a drawing of it, so I used this name. So Zeppy, yeah.
But I mean, that is that your creation? That's not copied from it, or is that your?
No. Someone else made a pencil drawing of Zeppy, and I created this pixel art version of it. Yeah.
But I see the pixel art version, and to me, that's synonymous with Azure Functions now. It's just got that strange way of it. It's like
if you use it long enough. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But it's great. So I mean, in terms of, I suppose it's about showing that fun, engaging side of tech, because look, let's face it, Marc, tech can be quite a dry place to work at times.
Exactly.
Especially when you're down in the weeds. So. For me, this is great to see.
Exactly. Yeah, it's definitely a good mix of having some technology and mix it with some fun stuff. And we also mentioned this before. We are more than just the technology we use, right? So it's nice to also show some other parts where we are very enthusiastic about. For me, it's pixel art. For someone else, it's more like making some paintings, or making music, or doing photography. So it's nice to also learn a bit about the other sides that we have.
Yeah, I mean, did you ever put all your pixel art on a website anywhere, or have you not got around to it?
Well, there is. I think it's let me quickly see it. It's not all. No, That's mistyped.
Let me know when you found our
Go
feedback.
So a lot of it is here, but it's not everything. I've also drawn a lot of these animations that are part of VS Code pads. I'm not sure if you've heard of that VS Code extension, but VS Code has an extension called VS Code pads. And then you can have, let's say, digital pads in your VS Code environment. And for instance, this Zappy is a VS Code pads. Ferris, the crab, is in VS Code pads. This snake is in Code pads. Clippy is in Code pads.
Clippy,
the rubber duck is also part of Code pads. That's also a lot of fun.
Oh, that's pretty cool. So they are in there's some of your
these are like the start of hundreds and hundreds of these things. Yeah.
Wow, yeah. I mean, it's just like scroll down, see if you can spot who they are.
Yeah, exactly. So some are recognizable, some not so much. But
yeah. No, but and like you say, it's kind of like that full circle. You know, we've been chatting for 25 minutes or so now, Marc. It's like that from how you started in tech, what you were doing, how you got into IT, to your first kind of recognition that you were now a developer working in that space, to shifting to the cloud and looking at serverless compute, reaching out to community. It just kind of shows this rich nature of a career, you know, and it's just it's really cool to see how much clearly, like I said earlier, you know, clearly you're enjoying it, you're enthused, you're passionate about this area, and it's really cool to see, and you're helping a lot of people, Marc, at the end of the day.
And that's what it's all about, right? I really want to make genuine connections with people and make sure they feel seen and helped, and I definitely want to do my best to keep doing that. Yeah.
Oh no, absolutely, without a doubt, and it's great to see. So I mean, look, it's been great having you on. I always leave on one bigger-ish kind of question, I suppose you could say it. So, why are we learning all this stuff, Marc? In your opinion, where are we going? I suppose, what are the next big bets from your perspective in technology over the coming years? Where do you think we're going, Marc?
Yeah, well, where I would like to go, I've got two different sides to it, but let me start with the technology side first, because maybe that's the easiest. So where I would like to be is, and that's related to all of these cloud providers out there, I just want to add a piece of business functionality, and I just want to throw that to the cloud, and the cloud takes care of the rest. So that's my ideal, and we're not there yet. So even with serverless, we are getting quite a way there. And so we can write some business code, but we still have to make some choices when we then push it out to the cloud. And will it run in consumption mode, or will I use another tier? And what database do I need to use? But I think, or I hope in a couple of years' time, we can write some code, or maybe it's not even code. We write some business requirements, and we send that to the cloud, and then the cloud will decide itself what kind of services would be the best fit for me based on my requirements. So that will be a lovely place to be, I think. Yeah.
I guess we're starting to see some of that come through with AI in things like Copilot and things, because that's pretty cool.
Exactly.
Functionality, you know, exactly. I think it certainly helps people like me that aren't developers. I can tell you that.
Yeah. Very true. Yeah.
Have you tried to use any of that yet, Marc? Or
I'm definitely using Copilot. So and it helps in more with just coding, because I'm also doing a lot of writing, and it also helps with the writing. Okay. So that's really fun to see. So it also gives some very good suggestions on some paragraphs of a blog post I'm writing, for instance. So it's really fun to see how much actually Copilot understands is maybe a big word, but how correct all of these suggestions are. So I'm often quite amazed with all the suggestions. It's really cool.
I mean, it's really interesting actually. You mentioned where you would like the landscape to go. Is that almost naturally asking for something to be done from a business process perspective? Asking in normal forms, and you think, well, we've got some of that tech available in certain guises today, but it's how might that bring together? And look, AI seems to be, I joke, it started as a joke, but it's turned into a fact almost now with some of these videos that AI seems to be getting everywhere, into every tech,
definitely,
in some way or another. So it's almost like bringing AI into the developer world, which things like Copilot are starting to do that. Taking that, I like that idea, Marc. It's that taking out a stage further, and where could that go?
Yeah, and I think over the years, cloud providers have gathered a lot of data and on workloads and where these workloads are running, and probably if they're running correctly or not. I'm not sure how they can figure out. So yeah, I think they have a lot of data to feed that into a certain AI, which then indeed can make these suggestions for you. So yeah.
Do you think we'll ever get to the stage where you can say, I want to start up a clothing business? Give me my infrastructure.
Yeah.
And there you have an entire clothing business infrastructure website.
I think so, yeah. Because
a while.
To be honest, that's probably one of the easiest things, right? If you want to have some e-commerce thing, that's probably one of the easier things to template. So yes, yeah, I definitely think that will be possible. Yeah, true.
Cool. I like it. I think it's gonna, it's a different way of looking at things, and I mean, look, it's going to be interesting to see where we are in 5 years' time, especially at the rate that we're going with cloud tech and the amount of advances it's taking us. But Marc, it's been super fun having a bit of a chat with you.
Totally agree. Thanks
for joining me.
Yeah.
Any other words of wisdom you want to leave us on now?
Well, I'm very passionate also about the educational part. So if you ever think of learning something, learning on your own can be good, and some people prefer that. But I think it's also very nice if you can find someone else in your area that's also learning and want to learn the same thing, because then you can challenge another and help one another in your learning process. So that's definitely advisable.
Yeah. No, that's a really good tip, that is, Marc. So yeah, think about that. But look, thanks so much for joining me. It's been a pleasure. It's always lovely to speak to people that you've spoken and seen across social media. So it's great to finally say hello to you properly, Marc.
It was fun. Thanks.
But thanks for being an awesome guest. I'll catch you soon.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, Marc. Bye now.